up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm out on the V-Strom 650 and we're just going to go through and I'm going to show everyone just how to brake properly. I noticed quite a few people I've met here are never sure whether to use the front brake or the back brake and in what circumstances. So we're going to go through and we're going to learn how to brake properly, safely, but also we'll do an emergency brake at the end just so you can really see how strong the brakes are. First up, when you are new to a bike, you need to take the bike out, find somewhere like I have now, which is really quiet, not too much traffic, nice and flat. And what you're going to do is you're going to just practice using the brakes. Always be relaxed when you're using it. What you need to do is just be gentle on the brake levers. So treat the brake levers like you treat your woman. Be firm, but respect it. You never want to grab a fistful of brake like this. Oh, okay, it's gentle on and it's a squeeze. You're always going to squeeze. Even when you're doing an emergency brake, you're going to squeeze rather than just yanking at the brakes. So first thing to note is most of your braking power is up front. It's on the front wheels. You'll notice that the bigger bikes like this one, they have two disc brakes up front. They have two larger disc brakes up front and a smaller disc at the back, or a drum at the back. That's because of the balance of the bike. When you brake with the front, it digs the front tire into the ground a little bit, and what that's going to do is it's going to give you more control over your braking. It's going to give you more surface on the tire that's going to grip the road, and it's going to add to your braking and your stopping power. So the front brake is your main brake, and that's the one, if you're going at speed, that's the one you want to concentrate on. The front brake is where all the power is. What you want to do when you're braking, if you're going at speed, so let's just pick up speed a little bit. So we're going to pick up speed, and I'm not going to touch the back brake now, and I'm just going to squeeze gently onto that front brake. So that's the technique on the front brake. It's a case of pulling, you don't grab, it's a squeeze. Squeeze the brake, you can do it hard, but you want to just practice by doing it gently at first, then a little bit more and a little bit more until you're comfortable. You're going to squeeze that front brake. When you're going at speed, you're going to want to use the front and the back brake. Now sometimes you'll just use the front, sometimes you'll just use the back, and I'll show you the scenarios. But when you are coming from at speed and you want to use both brakes because you want maximum stopping power, what you're going to do is you're going to squeeze on the front first. That's going to drop the forks. It's going to give you the most area on the tire in contact with the ground, which will give you the most braking. And then you're going to, half a second later, come onto the back brake. So you're going to front and then back. I'll go and do an emergency stop for you now. So on the emergency stop, we're going to go fairly fast, and we're going to go front brake first, then back brake, clutch in, and we're stopping. Hopefully now you sort of understand that the front brake is the main brake. It's the one with the most stopping power. It's the one that is gonna get you out of trouble. It's also the one that you should be going to first. When you're going at any sort of speed, that's the one that is your primary brake. You're going to squeeze your front brake to dip the front forks if you're braking hard, otherwise it won't do that. And then you're going to come on the back brake, and that will balance out the bike, having both brakes going in together. That will give you the maximum braking force. Quite a lot of the time I will just use the front brake, just feel it. The time to use your back brake is when you're going slow and in traffic, because the front brake can make the bike a little bit off balance. See it dip here? So we're using the back brake. It's going to slow me just as much at slow speed, but it gives you more balance, more control. So when you're going through the city or in traffic, it's quite a good idea just to be able to sort of feather the back brake. Sometimes even down low, you're going to be feathering the back brake just to control your speed in traffic. Even if you're not intending to stop, it just keeps your speed controlled. So you have your foot hovering over the right pedal there and the brake, and it will just allow you to maintain your balance while sort of weaving through city traffic or going slowly. But at any speed, the front brake is your main one. Find a nice little spot like this where it's pretty quiet and you can practice practice your brakes. How hard can you go on the brakes? Like I'm squeezing now, that's nowhere near the maximum brake pressure. I can jam it in, or I'm at a stop. So you need to just practice, because you do not want the first time that you grab a fistful of brake in an emergency, you don't want that to be the first time that you have actually grabbed the brakes hard, because you may panic. The main thing to do, and what we're going to actually practice now, is an emergency stop. so that you understand how quickly the bike can stop. And when it happens in a real life scenario, in a, you know, if something happens in front of you and you really need to brake, you want to understand and know that feeling so you don't panic, because it's important to remain calm. So I'm going to talk you through it. We're going to go front brake, back brake, clutch in. So we're going to go and do another emergency stop. That's about 5 I've done now. That's all right, it's a good test. If you look on my CRF 150L review video, you'll see that I actually had to do an emergency stop there in the rain, absolute torrential rain. And I'm not absolutely hammering this emergency stop now. I love you guys, but I'm not going to drop my bike for it. But we'll go a little bit faster. We'll get up to sort of 100. And we can imagine, oh my God, something's in front of me. And I'm going to actually brake too hard here. And we can come to a stop, and I've got perfect balance still. But you would just put your left foot down initially, because you still want your right foot covering that brake pedal if possible. Because if your right foot's covering that brake pedal, always remember, if you're going to hammer on the brakes really fast, so it's an emergency brake, and you've got to check your mirrors. Check your mirrors when you're braking, if at all possible, because something might not brake as quickly as you behind you. And so you want to be prepared to go. That's why you're going to pull your clutch in as well. It's going to stop the engine stalling, which means if necessary, you could see something quickly coming in your mirrors. You may just have a split second to go forward or sideways, or just get out of the way slightly. And also, if your right foot is still covering the rear brake, then you have the brake on. Even if someone shunts into you very gently in the back, it won't send you flying quite as much as if you don't have the brake on. So we'll do one more, but I really do suggest everyone practice this, because if you practice it in calm, pleasant conditions, when you're expecting it, then there's much less chance of you panicking if you have to do it for real. So we'll go again. We'll go past these here. And I'm going to brake. Oh no, something's in on me.